All right, welcome back. Yeah, so some of the older discs that I used to bag kind of right before moving up to South Dakota, just real quick, or some real gems I used to have. And some of these are not replicates, but similar molds to what I was throwing. We should start with the putters. Putters should start. But yeah, when I first got up here, I was basically using either Judges or sometimes these uh, these EMAC Judges that I kind of sillily wiped and drew this weird little north arrow on. But used to putt with those a little bit and throw those. And actually, my first ace in South Dakota was with an EMAC Judge. But other than that, for throwing putters, I got a commemorative Envy when I was just leaving Emporia. The DDO that last year, I think 2022. The Drop Zone Discs puts up their own little store next to the DD store, and I got that. And oh, I should pull this one out too. Yeah, I got this Envy, but I also grabbed a Berg, and man, I used to throw the crap out of the Berg. Like it was perfect for just the little sidearm approaches, um, and just backhands that would just fall out of the air. Like the Berg was the shit for the longest time. And now that I have it back, I'm kind of wondering why I don't have it in the bag. But anywho, next disc that I would throw pretty often, I had this Misprint Pure that I threw just anytime I needed something to go straight and slightly to the right. And I used to be a big Get Freaky Zone guy. I don't know, they're just the Z Crystal Flex plastic that they ran these in. I used to have a green and purple one that I eventually lost, but replaced it with this nice orange one, and it throws pretty well. Haven't had it in the bag for a while, but don't know why. Just happens. Next up, some of the mid ranges I used to throw. I always had a Fusion EMAC Truth in the bag, but then I also had this Fusion X Verdict, Chris Clemens Verdict, that was just nice and stable. You could give it a little forehand, but it would tends to turn a little too much for that kind of torque. Um, but then as soon as I got to South Dakota, I also had I threw a lot of this regular Lucid Truth kind of that last spring. I was doing a lot of just casual rounds with friends, and I found out that they were running regular Lucid Truths. And I also grabbed a base plastic Truth from the DD store while I was still in Emporia. And this thing's kind of like that Soul that I have. It's so flippy. You throw it flat and it just shoots off to the right. Um, yeah, these were fun discs back when I was throwing them, and we'll move right on to some of the fairways. Yeah. So right off the bat, this Lucid Getaway I used to have in the bag for so long. Kind of took a similar slot as the Bear, but it just started beating up a little bit too much. But man, when I first had this thing, you could forehand it, you could backhand it, you could trust it. Um, it goes really far. They have phenomenal glide. Um, yeah, I have a little Sharpie on it says "Get away from me," but I don't know, dorky stuff. I know. Next, I used to throw just stock Explorers all the time. They're good discs. I mean, they go straight and then they eventually fade. Um, this is kind of a backup of the original one that I had. I think I lost it somewhere in Wichita in like a pasture. Couldn't find the disc, so I bought a similar looking one. Um, and I used to throw this Sapphire all the time. I had a different Sapphire, but man, the Sapphires, they're lightweight, they're easy to throw, and you can just mash on them. They get a lot of turn. kind of like that Blue Scorch that I showed earlier, just in like a 10 speed. Like, man, it just goes. They go really far and they have lots of glide. Um, then this Misprint Felon I've had in the bag for a while, and this thing's got a lot of stories to tell. It was my main Felon for the longest time, forehand, a little bit of backhand, but mainly flex forehands. And um, fun story, my first ever like tournament ace was with this disc, and it was a temp hole at Sioux Falls, big, or not Big Tut Hill, and they had it from a parking lot over to this basket that's currently now actually a permanent long position. Um, but just through this forehand, 300 feet, little flex, smash chains, got paid like 180 bucks or something. And then later that year, same season in the fall, I cashed another forehand ace with this disc in Big Sioux, hole 4. Um, skipped off some sand into this hanging basket. It happened to be the bounty hole for the Shields gift card giveaway, and the ace pot was like 300 bucks. So I got paid like 450 bucks in ace pot and Shields money that day with this disc. So it's pretty special. Yeah, hole 4, Big Sioux. Special disc here. Some others. Oh, we can grab one more fairway from here. My first disc that I really learned to throw straight is this orange Lucid Sparkle Escape that I got playing a Halloween doubles event with my younger brother in Emporia. And this thing's pretty flippy now, but back when it started, it was somewhat stable, and you could just pump it flat and hard, and it would just go. And great disc here. But now on to the distance drivers. Kind of some oldies but goodies. This Yellow Trespass has been in and out of the bag for years. Put it in the bag, I think, when I first started playing some PDGA tournaments, the summer of 2022. No, summer of 2021. I played my first tournament down in Manhattan, Kansas, and this thing started overstable. It was a disc I could throw on some hard forehands and things, and now it's gotten to where it beats up and it turns and it goes really far. But a good compliment to that was I had a blue, pretty similar looking blue Scorpius. It was bottom stamped, but similar stability to this, and just it's basically a destroyer mold, but this thing beat up perfectly after a while, or you could just kind of similar to the Trespass, but just a little more integrity at the end. Yeah, that was a phenomenal disc. And the first disc I actually threw 500 feet was a Vulcan. This is a G-Star Vulcan, but I had a Yellow Star one that I like loved for the longest time, and got to where I was throwing that thing really far, it would turn and eventually fade. I had a pink one, and then now this one, but I don't use it too much. But the Vulcan 14 speed, 13 or 13 speed, they fly really far. And another oldie but a goodie, this Captain was the first disc I was learning to throw over 300 feet with. I mean, I remember when I took this thing out to Clover Cliff and in Emporia, and I was just throwing things long and straight, and it was the first distance driver I really fell in love with. And this is a Lucid Air Trespass I used to throw a lot. Eventually, it spent some time in the Anthony Lake for a while, but I think it's 100, yeah, really light, 156 grams. Anytime you have a tailwind, pop this thing out there. It'll get some turn, ride the wind, and just go super far. And I'm sure there's a bunch of discs that I've left out or lost since a few years ago, but that's kind of what I got right now. Let me know if you guys throw any of these things, and let me know if you want to see another bag update in like a year. We can track how to see how the bag changes throughout the years. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Uh, we'll catch you next time and have a great day. See ya.